Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with the NTV Weekend Edition with me, Sandra Twinogdio. Now, recently, the government has been holding discussions to see how to improve the mineral activities in the country. Now, this has resulted into calls to improve the tax regime for those involved in the business, as it is mostly privately held. Now, tonight, we do pick the thoughts of NICHOLAS MUHEREZA, who is a legal counsel for Africa Gold Refinery. In this conversation, you'll hear us use a lot of AGR. So we'll dive into the discussion right away. Very good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Sandra. How are you?
Very well. Now, for the last, say, 5 years, AGR has been in operation in Uganda. How has it improved the entire sector? Has it sort of helped the government when it comes to regulation of gold mining in the country?
Thank you so much. That's a very good question. African Gold Refinery, first and foremost, is a state-of-the-art gold refinery based in Entebbe, just near the airport. It came in here around 2014. And was later officially launched by His Excellency the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. They have invested tremendous, around $60 million in the additional value of one of the major resources, that is gold. So AGR is basically here to add value on gold in terms of ensuring that gold is refined up to 99.9%, which is bullion standard international.
That brings me to the question, where does AGR get its gold? Where does it source its gold from? In order, of course, when we speak about illicit gold trading, it's a concern of many.
Thank you so much. That's a very good question vis-a-vis the bad publications that have been going out there in the media here and, of course, internationally. AGR has a very robust mechanisms of ensuring that its entire supply chain is actually managed very carefully in terms of ensuring that no gold that is illicitly traded or gold that is smuggled enters into the refinery at AGR. So that robust system is very strict and is as per the law. So for AGR to have any supply of gold, that supply of gold must have filled a form which I would call a KYC, where important information is given to ensure that the gold you are getting has documents. It is legal. If it is imported, let's say, from the region, remember AGR has now become a gold hub in the region, just like you hear of Dubai. Then it must have certifications from the East African community, what we call as the ICGR, that it is certified gold, imported and mined following responsible sourcing mechanisms.
What are you currently doing to... Anyway, before even I get to what you're currently doing, have you been affected by the issues to do with illicit gold trading in the country in a way?
Yeah.
And what strategies are you putting in place to see that that is done away?
Thank you so much. Just like these old trades, gold, mention it, I mean, since time immemorial, gold has been traded illicitly, actually, or has been smuggled for generations. But in the modern era, what companies like AGR are doing is to encourage people to actually trade it officially through official channels, where, for instance, our customs department under the Uganda Revenue Authority can now tell where or find where AGR is, which was not the case before AGR came into play. So now customs, for instance, which, remember, AGR is a bonded warehouse under the customs regulations of Uganda, whereby URA tracks each and every consignment of gold that comes in and gets out of the refinery. So that is a tremendous achievement, specifically for the government of Uganda, in terms of tracking the taxes, to make sure that every consignment or every traded gold, there is a tax paid. But of course, we shall come to an issue where previously we had a Chamber of Mines symposium where the tax issue was raised. They recently proposed tax levies that were talked about as well as one of the challenges that we are facing.
Well, speaking of taxes, let's dive into that discussion right away. The 10% tax on unrefined gold and the 5% tax on refined gold. Were you consulted before? And how exactly would you have wanted the government to go about it? Earlier, when we were having this conversation, you did mention that it's likely to affect the mining industry, the mining sector, encourage people to take part in unregulated gold trading. Speak to us on the taxes and how much you think they're going to affect the sector.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for that good question. From our basic economics, we very well understand the effect of high taxation on trade. Basics. Just leave gold alone. Once you do high taxes...
You would want it to go untaxed?
No, not absolutely. Any responsible practitioner as a private sector, we support taxation.
Yes.
Because we have paid over $3.5 billion of tax, both direct and indirect, since AGR came into operation. So how would you expect us not to... For instance, the peace and security in Uganda is maintained by our taxes. So as a responsible citizen, under the law, you must pay the tax. And that should be made very clear, that AGR supports taxation, but that taxation should not discourage investment.
In other words,
should
you
be
think it is
in
a
tandem.
bit too high.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were not consulted on the matter?
Absolutely. Once government is making laws and regulations, under policy formulation as a student of policy, we should appreciate that you must have a bottom-up situation of making a policy. You don't start a policy, you don't propose a policy right out from the top and then come and consult the people that are affected later. It definitely has to stumble. Yeah, so in my opinion, it is not too late. Government can come back. There is the private sector foundation led by Honorable Dr. Eddie. People of valor, people who know investment very well. The Chamber of Mines is available, which is a very good forum for private sector and connecting to government. So there is a lot that can be negotiated with the private players. Uganda has a very tremendous future in terms of the mining sector, even compared to the oil and gas sector, which I'm privileged to have information about. That the mining sector in Uganda, with the recent aeromagnetic survey that was done in the Karamoja region, talk of the Rwenzori, talk of the recent Wagagai discovery in eastern Uganda, there is a lot. We don't need to rely on gold from the region only, whereas AGR wants to be the gold hub in the region. But equally Uganda, if we are to revise the high levies and ensure that we maintain a very good, stable tax regime, then we are going to benefit tremendously going forward.
Also, how can AGR work hand in hand with the government to improve the sector? That is probably one of the main questions that we would want to put forward today as we talk about the tax issues, tax measures and its impact and outcomes. How can they work together to improve the sector?
Now, that's a very good question. Why? One, any serious company, once you go into any jurisdiction or any area to do business, it is always very paramount to have a very good relationship with the people where you are operating. So since AGR started refining gold here in Uganda, they have had a very good relationship with the small-scale artisanal miners. People in Mubende, Busia, Karamoja, in Buhweju, they have been supporting them with the skill sets. Remember, this is a company that has had many years before they came into Uganda, many years of operation in the gold industry. We are used to just smelting and exporting our very good resource without adding value to it or refining it to 99.9, which, by the way, that is one of the best things that AGR has been able to do, to refine gold to international standards, which no other refiner has been able to achieve. But AGR is happy to share that technology, and they have indeed been able to train some of our Ugandans, some of the technicians. If you go to the factory, you realize that many Ugandans are now in the industry. They can be able to refine gold, which skill sets we did not have before AGR came into the market.
Have you also considered adding value? You did mention value addition. It's very important when you talk about any product. But when we speak about the artisanal miners, for example, have you thought about equipping them with modern technology and also proper training? Is that something AGR is doing? Yeah,
we must understand that there is the Artisanal Miners Association in Uganda, and AGR is a partner. They are partnering with AGR for sustainable supply. The gold supply chain I already talked about, that we deal with registered suppliers of gold. AGR does not operate an open door policy where you just come in with your gold wherever you have got it and it is accepted. That is not how AGR operates. So if you are a registered artisanal miner, for instance, in Uganda, then you have an account with AGR after you have filled in the KYC I talked about initially. So that means if you have any challenges or you need any technology development or any information regarding modern techniques of mining and refining gold, or mining gold and then bring it to the refinery, then AGR is happy to share with you that capacity training. And it has been doing that for now over 5 years. And also AGR, I must mention that AGR is supporting several corporate social responsibility activities, especially in Entebbe and other parts of Uganda. AGR has been supporting the chimpanzee sanctuary in Entebbe. These are some of the endangered species. And of course supporting our own people who are unable to support themselves, like the deaf community, supporting the schools, the young people who cannot be helped. So that is some of the things. And looking forward, AGR is looking at even working on jewelry, things some of you ladies love to put on, such that they are produced here. You don't have to import something from. Because
that's a very interesting standard. Because if we are, say, traveling and making sure we buy gold jewelry, I mean, from your end, AGR, is it working towards making that possible? And if you're to give us a time frame, what can we look at?
I wouldn't want to put pressure on ourselves per se, but if you now walk into AGR, you'll find that they have now started a section in the factory where we are making coins, and we are starting production of jewelry and so on. So you, under the Bubu policy, where you buy Uganda, build Uganda, we shall now be able to buy our own locally manufactured jewelry from our own resources, and that is gold.
Gold is truly becoming one of Uganda's main exports, but I trust that there are many Ugandans out there that
is on condition that we revise the tax law,
the tax policy. But I trust there are Ugandans that still do not understand how to take part in that business. How can a common citizen in this country be part of this very great business venture?
Yeah, actually, interestingly, it's only the middle class, the likes of you and me, maybe people here in Kampala, who are not participating.
Who are not interested, or just not aware how to take part.
They are not aware but normal people whom we live in the villages, people who are out there in gold-rich areas like in Mubende, this is their livelihood. And that's why high taxes on gold affects not me and you, but people down in the villages, people in Busia, people in Buhweju, people who are surviving, young women.
Yes.
You know, people have been living on small money from gold. Once you increase the tax here, the price down is reduced because they have to take care of that difference in taxation. So it is very, very important and paramount that we maintain a very stable tax policy and regime, and ultimately we shall continue reaping what we have been able to benefit from the past 6 or 7 years.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. NICHOLAS Muhereza, who is legal counsel for Africa Gold Refinery, currently speaking to us about issues to do with gold in the country and the recently imposed taxes on this very sector. Thank you so much for joining us as well. We'll take a short break, but NTV Weekend Edition will continue shortly.